A pleasant good morning and welcome to King's News Broom. 45 minutes of the most compelling news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Today is Monday, March 30, 2025, and I'm your presenter, Otis Sankan. Story stopping the news this morning. Former President George Weah urges the Islamic community to use the holy month of Ramadan to pray for national reconciliation and healing. United Methodist Church and Breakaway Global Methodist Church clashes intensified over property ownership, with Sarah's members and officials of the Global Methodist Church arrested but subsequently released by the Liberian National Police. Government of Liberia seeks intervention from diplomatic corps to find solutions to user-sponsored project cancellation, as Ministry of Finance says the court presents a significant challenge for Liberia. In a way, for Liberia, the Army of the Democratic Republic of Congo has accused Rwanda of dressing up prisoners in military uniforms in an effort to pass them off as needed capture rebels linked to the Rwandese genocides. The headlines, these and many other developments, including the news bulletin, the voices of the newsmaker, are all packaged in this early morning edition of the program. But we are taking a very short break to return with the bulletin of the news. Thanks so much for rejoining us on the news program. To this development, the former bishop of the United Methodist Church and members of the Breakaway Global Methodist Church, Reverend Dr. Jerry Kula, and Sarah's members of the Breakaway faction have been released from prison following their arrest on Sunday. The arrest, which disrupted normal worship activities at the 72nd United Methodist Church in Pinju, followed a clash between the Breakaway members of the Global Methodist Church and the Liberian National Police, where members of the GMC attempted to hold a worship service at the church edifice on Sunday. It can be recalled the Global Methodist Church, through a resolution, recently announced its disassociation with the United Methodist Church Liberia over alleged legalization of same-sex marriage within the UMC denominations. Meanwhile, the United Methodist Church has since warned the Breakaway denomination to refrain from using any of its churches as worship place. But members of the Global Methodist Church at the 72nd UMC have reportedly defied the church orders. However, speaking following his release from prison Sunday, Reverend Dr. Jerry Kulat accused the resident bishop of the United Methodist Church, Reverend Dr. Samuel Quaid, of endorsing same-sex marriage in the UMC denomination for financial gain. He at the same time reaffirmed his position to reclaim the 72nd United Methodist Church and ensure that it is used as worship center for the Global Methodist Church. In a related development, the resident pastor of the MF Billet United Methodist Church and spokesperson of the United Methodist Church Liberia, Reverend Benjamin Copelet, Sunday's dispelled Reverend Dr. Jerry Kula claims and terms members of the Breakaway Global Methodist Church as a group of people who are bent on damaging the church reputation. According to Reverend Copelet, the United Methodist Church it just ended 192nd annual section in Bangabon County reaffirmed its commitment to uphold the traditional biblical standards of marriage, which he said recognizes a union between a man and a woman, contrary to Dr. Coulard in the public claims. He said such endorsement by the United Methodist Church is inconsistent with the West African Central Conference Book of Discipline and aligned with biblical standards, the Liberian cultural values, and the civil marriage law. Reverend Copella further clarifies that churches in Liberia do not have the authority to legalize any form of marriage which is not recognized by the state through law. The Liberia Council of Churches has ended a one-day dialogue aimed at resolving the speakership crisis at the House of Representatives. The dialogue was organized by the LCC in collaboration with other members of the religious community and state actors. Following the clamors of the activities, LCC Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toole calls on members of the lower house to respect the rule of law. He argued that one of the three branches of government have not endorsed or recognized the legitimacy of the Speaker of the majority bloc, and as such, it is creating concern among the Liberian people. According to Reverend Toole, the LCC will endeavor to continue the dialogue with the two blocs at the House of Representatives and calling on both parties to see reason for resolving the conflict. The LCC Secretary also disclosed that the Council and members of other religious communities have agreed to extend the dialogue to the President, Joseph Boakat, and the Supreme Court to seek their involvement in resolving the crisis at the House of Representatives. The Dean of the Monrovia District Conference of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, Robert Goodnow, has called for significant reform in the Lutheran Church to reduce hardship being experienced by pastors of the church in rural Liberia. Speaking at the end of the 12th annual convention of the Monrovia District Conference at the St. Matthew Lutheran Church in Pinzon, Goodnow said many rural pastors are facing hardship due to financial malpractices at the national level. Delivering a sermon marking the end of the convention, the dean of the Monrovia District Conference of the Lutheran Church in Liberia has also expressed concern about the disappearance of computers containing the financial records of the church. He at the same time registered his dissatisfaction on the failures to account for over 75,000 United States dollars from the LCL fund. The Grand Mufti of Liberia has called for an establishment of an independent reconciliation council that will help mediate the national crisis Liberia might face. According to Sheikh Abubakar Sumaworo, such council will help resolve the unending crisis, including the impasse at the House of Representatives, among others. Sheikh Sumaworo added that such council could also demand the interpretation of the Supreme Court opinion into issues involving the majority and minority blocs at the lower house. He further appealed to imams across Liberia to pray for the peaceful resolution of the crisis at the House of Representatives and peace in the country. Sheikh Sumarud at the same time challenged President Boakat to ensure that the rule of law is respected and the crisis at the House of Representatives is resolved. He made these comments Saturday during the beginning of the holy month-long Ramadan. Former President George Weah has extended a profound Ramadan message to the Islamic community of Liberia, urging all Muslims to build a stronger bond within the Islamic congregation in Liberia. In his message, Weah noted that it is also his hope that in addition to the Liberian Muslim personal riches and aspiration, they include a quest for peace and prosperity in Liberia during their supplications. He prayed for Allah's guidance upon all those observing the holy month of Ramadan, adding that Allah will grant them good health throughout this period and beyond. According to the former Liberian leader, fasting in supplication to Allah also teaches self-discipline, which enables those fasting to abstain from the vices of life. In the message released on Saturday, we are recounted that Ramadan is a period where the Holy Scriptures was revealed and therefore a time for reference and the giving of charity, adding that it is important to use this period to build a stronger spiritual relationship with Allah while also remembering the less fortunate in society. He also acknowledged the contributions of the Islamic community, describing it as an integral part of Liberia since its founding. He further said Liberia history is repleted with the as contribution of Islamic leaders, many of whom made invaluable efforts to bring peace to Liberia and impacted the social and economic well-being of the Liberian people. Former President Weah at the same time calls on all Muslims to remember the toil of all forebears and use the holy month of Ramadan to pray for national reconciliation and healing. An independent media investigation conducted has revealed that LBS Director General Eugene Facon and Chinese businessman Gao Feng orchestrated a conspiracy against Chinese national Michael Xion to disprove medical report of Momo Davis. During the investigation, it was established that the LBS Director General, without having link to the case, conveyed a meeting with community leaders about expressing deep interest in the torture of Momo Davis. Sources have confirmed that although Momo Davis was tortured by pilot securities and other passersby for attempting to steal solar light, claims made by Eugene Facon are far from reality. The investigation has also established that a medical report from the ELW hospital has cast doubt on claims made by the LBS boss against Shield. The medical report revealed that David's injuries were caused by fire, not hot oil, and there was no indication of dog bites. The report also clarified that the incident occurred between January 16 and 17, not January 13, as claimed by Facon and community residents. The controversy is relative to business rivalry between Gil Feng, also known as the Rear Minister, and Michael Shield. Recently, Gil Feng, who is a partner to LBS boss Eugene Facon, was accused of illicit mining activities in Bapulu County and was fined $18 million by the Ministry of Mines and Energy. Gil Feng also charged with economic sabotage, criminal facilitation by the government, something the investigation has established to be a primary cause for the conspiracy led by Eugene Facon against the Chinese national Michael Shield. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Finance, held discussion with the diplomatic corps aimed at discussing the impact of the USAID cancellation to the Liberian government. The meeting attended by Finance Minister Augustine Beheka and Deputy Minister for Economic Management David Zul was led by UN Resident Coordinator Christian Umotoni. According to a release issued by the Ministry of Finance, the meeting was also attended by the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, Cameroonian Ambassador Augustine Gang, as well as the Ambassador of the US, EU, Germany, Nigeria, Ghana, among many others. The release added the aid cut present a significant challenge for Liberia, which depends on international aid for development. Finance Minister Augustine Gafuan, during the meeting, informed the partners that as the situation evolves, the government will be taking further proactive and reactive measures to mitigate the impact of the shock. The release added that Finance Minister stated that the government will be intervening to continue some critical intervention in health and education, that the USAID cut will affect and call on scale-up support from other partners to assist to complement the government response. He expressed confidence that Liberia will overcome this challenge, citing past risks like the 2008-2009 global food, fuel, and financial crisis, the Ebola outbreak, and the COVID-19 pandemic. He stressed a need stronger support from Liberian bilateral and multilateral partners to enable Liberia address shock of the USAID cancellation. Montserrado County Senator and Chairman of the Senate Committees on Transportation, Sir Joseph, has revealed plans by the government to resolve the current crisis between the Liberian National Police and the motorcyclists across Montserrado County and other parts of the country. Addressing members of the Supreme Motorcycle Transport Union of Liberia over the weekend in Painesville, Senator Joseph disclosed that the Senate Committees on Transportation, during a recent meeting with the LNP, resolved to ensure the release of imprisoned cyclists and bikes that were arrested and seized as a result of the altercation between the police and the cyclists in central Monrovia. He also accepted that discussions are aimed at restoring the rights of the motorcyclists to resume plying Central Monrovia and other parts of Monserrato, among other things, are underway and pleaded with the cyclists to suspend their planned protest. However, despite Senator Joseph's intervention, members of the Supreme Motorcyclist Transport Union of Liberia had reaffirmed their decision to carry out their planned protest this Monday across Monserrato County. According to Chokon Grade, president of the Supreme Motorcycle and Transport Union of Liberia, the planned gathering is, among other things, aimed at calling on the government to immediately uplift the ban that was placed on commercial motorcyclists across Monserrato County and its environment. Grade emphasized that the government, through the Liberian National Police, has been unlawfully impounding their bags after obtaining license, insurance, and all necessary documents required by the government of Liberia. He added that the acts by the MP has resulted to serious economic strain for them and their families, thus calling on President Bouaka to immediately dismiss Police Inspector General Colonel Gregory Coleman. The management at the National Transit Authority during the weekend celebrated its first anniversary since taking over the method of affairs at the NTA. Speaking during the celebration here at the NTA compounds along the Japan's freeway, NTA Managing Director Edmund Ford commissioned three newly acquired 65-seater buses for public transportation. According to Mr. Ford, since taking office about 1 year ago, his administration has been able to repair and put in operation of 14 out of 29 buses that broke down. Mr. Ford has been able to clear salaries arrears and make salaries current, as well as make the NTA an entity the banking institution can trust and do business with. At the end of the program, Sarah's employees were certificated for their role in bringing successes to the NTA during their year. A 48-year-old man has been adjudged guilty of raping a 12-year-old girl in Fishtown, River County. Defendant Joel Twett was found guilty on February 28 by the trial jury at the 15th Judiciary Circuit Court following a week-long legal battle. The jury unanimously verdict, according to our judiciary correspondent, claims the pieces of evidence adduced by prosecuting lawyers were convincing to convict defendant Joe Twed for statutory rape. Defendant Twed lawyers took exception to the jury verdict, and awaiting Judge Wisa A. Wisa assigned judge at the 15th Judiciary Circuit Court final judgment before announcing any appeal to the Supreme Court during 8 March 10th, consistent with Chapter 24, Section 24(1) and 2 of the Criminal Procedure Law of Liberia. Our judiciary correspondent said prior to the trial jury decision, defendant Joe Twed closely followed the 12-year-old girl while on her way to fetch for firewood. Defendant Twed reportedly promised to buy the victim a big cell phone and then gave her 1,000 Liberian dollars before he sexually abused her. The 48-year-old man committed the act before informing the girl's parents that he was in a relationship with her. His account to the victim parents led to them notifying the police, which resulted to his arrest before his conviction of statutory rape by the trial jury at the 5th Judiciary Circuit Court. The executive director of We Care Foundation has called the Liberian government to increase its investment in education and empower young people with greater learning opportunities. Speaking at a Black History Month event at the We Care Foundation Library, Michael Weir emphasized that education serves as an essential equalizer for society and a critical pathway for Liberia to progress alongside other nations. Weir said Liberians cannot afford to live in the shadow of history any longer, stating that it is time for the youth to access vital information, engage with literature, and develop critical thinking skills. In remarks, supervisor of the We Care Foundation Library, King Ned Rossett, re-echo Weir's statement, further pointing out the importance of remembering the contribution of Black individuals throughout history. He noted that the celebration aimed to educate students about Black History Month and motivate them to work diligently towards making meaningful contribution to their country and the world. The celebration of Black History Month, which occurred on February, honors the achievements of African Americans, acknowledges their significant impacts throughout history. This annual observance celebrated in the United States and Canada serves as a reminder of ongoing systemic racism and acknowledges the change makers working to push for equality. And away from Liberia, the armies of the Democratic Republic of Congo has accused Rwanda of dressing up prisoners in military uniforms in an effort to pass them off as newly captured rebels linked to the Rwandese genocide. It comes after Rwanda-backed M23 rebels in Eastern Democratic Congo said they had captured fractured from the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of the Rwanda FDLR, a militant funded by the ethnic Hutus who took part in the 1994 genocide against Rwanda Tutsis. But the DR Congo military said a video allegedly showing the handover of 20 FDLR rebels at the border crossing was fake. M23 fighters have been advancing through Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo since January, seizing Bukavu and Goma, the biggest city in the region. The fighting has forced about 5,000 people from their homes, worsening an already dire humanitarian crisis, according to the UN. In its statement, the Congolese military said the Rwandan video was a fake incident in the post-it orchestrated with the sole aim of discrediting our army. It also said Rwanda has taken all FDLR prisoners and dressed them in a newly military uniform to claim they had been newly captured in Goma. This is part of Rwanda's strategy to justify the invasion of parts of the DRC territory, it added. The news bulletin is a regular feature here on King's News Broom. Indeed, if you are just joining us, it's a reminder that you are tuned to King's News Broom, 45 minutes of the most compelling news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Today is Monday, March 3rd, 2025. A has story stopping the news this morning. Former President George Weah urges the Islamic community to use the holy month of Ramadan as to pray for national reconciliation and healing. United Methodist Church and Breakaway Global Methodist Church clashes intensified over property ownership with several members and officials of Global Methodist Church arrested but subsequently released by the Liberia National Police. Government of Liberia seeks intervention from diplomatic corps to find solutions to USAID-sponsored project cancellation. The Ministry of Finance says the court presents a significant challenge for Liberia. And in foreign news, the army of the Democratic Republic of Congo has accused Rwanda of dressing up prisoners in military uniforms in an effort to pass them off as newly captured rebels linked to the Rwandese genocide. We are taking another break to return, this time with the voices of the newsmaker. Thanks so much for joining us on the news program. Today's development, Monserrato County Senator and Chair of the Senate Committee on Transportation, Sir Joseph, has revealed plans by the government to resolve the current crisis between the Liberia National Police and the motorcyclists across Monserrato County and other parts of the country. Addressing members of the Supreme Motorcycle Transport Union of Liberia over the weekend in Pinzio, Senator Joseph disclosed that the Senate Committee on Transportation during a recent meeting with the LNP resolved to ensure the release of imprisoned cyclists and bags that were arrested and seized as a result of the altercation between the police and the cyclists in Central Monrovia.
What we have agreed on is we will, on effective Monday, you understand? Yes. The leadership of all of the association will supervise the release of the bags to the rightful owner. That is, you carry your license or your registration document, then your bags will be released to you. Because the bags are many, so we agreed that we'll do 100 per day. Because I also went to Fatan yesterday, there are too many bags there. Yeah. How do you identify who owned a particular bike? So we put a system in place. When you carry a document, they check the engine. You are the owner. You will stand near it. We'll take your photo. Your leadership will get one. The other people, the police will get one. You sign for it, and then you take. You understand? Mm-hmm. After while that process is ongoing, you understand? The next phase is to look at what needs to be put in place so that you can make business. I understand. We're all Central Town, which is the main location, you cannot make money. You understand? Yeah. You can't. All of the passengers from the community, where is the direction? Town. In town. Yeah. They're not moving from horse to horse. You can't take passengers from there. Yeah. But then we and the police will have to sit together with your leadership and put in measure. What are the guidelines? You understand? That attitude of people removing the brake and say from here to rail, let's go. Let's see who will go and come back first. Gentlemen, don't know left street.
However, despite Senator Joseph's intervention, members of the Supreme Motorcycle Transport Union of Liberia have reaffirmed their decision to carry out their planned protest this Monday across Montserrat County. According to Chokon Grid, president of the Supreme Motorcycle and Transport Union of Liberia, the planned gathering is, among other things, to aim at calling the government to immediately uplift the ban that was placed on commercial motorcyclists across Montserrat County and its environment.
We are kindly asking the government to lift the ban that was placed on us because it is unprofessional. You can't collect money for us in the name of us because of few motorcyclists actions. We want to have knowledge this. Crimes are not transferable under our laws. We do believe that you are trained by professionals. Therefore, you should be able to go after the perpetrator, but not to handle everyone and put them in one category. Rampant corruption, harassment, intimidation, lawlessness, and category rampant abuse of power is the order of the day. Remember, Mr. Como, sorry, that despite all of the trust and support given to this government, particularly by the cyclists, only to be paid by suppression, there no go zone. It is causing serious problem and chaos in our country. We want to have the general public informed realistically that some of our backs were unlawfully arrested by the Liberia National Police as when they to be among government associates. Over the period, we exactly have been considered not captured in national budget, but rather being used by government political gains. The says brutality, the abuse of our rights, and exploitation by graduate common regime.
He's Chokon Gray. He's the president of the Supreme Motorcycle Transport Union of Liberia. They're speaking. Earlier on, you heard the voice of Montserrat County Senator, chairman of the Senate Committee on Transportation, Honorable Sir Joseph. The former bishop of the United Methodist Church and members of the Breakaway Global Methodist Church, Reverend Dr. Jerry Kullard, and several members of the Breakaway faction have been released from prison following their arrest on Sunday. However, speaking during his release from prison Sunday, Reverend Dr. Jerry Kulat accused the resident bishop of the United Methodist Church, Reverend Samuel Quaid, of endorsing same-sex marriage in the UMC denomination for financial gain. Sorry, we hope to bring you that assets in our subsequent news broadcast. According to Reverend Colette, the United Methodist Church and it just ended 192nd annual section in Bangabong County reaffirmed its commitment to uphold the traditional biblical standards of marriage, which he said recognizes a union between a man and a woman, contrary to Dr. Kulat and the public claims. He said such endorsement by the United Methodist Church is inconsistent with the West African Central Conference Book of the Discipline and aligned with biblical standards, the Liberian cultural values, and the civil right marriage law. Yena is Reverend Kupele.
Congo and Ghana. You have Congo division. So people come around and divide and split up the divisions, then you got leaders of those divisions of you as well. So that is what is happening now in the United States. Presently, we have 3 groups of citizens working in Singapore. But the most amazing one is in our people because the chief spokesman of the global and I want you to be that the most amazing group is the global medicine. There's another called the independent medicine church, and that is done by the James F. It was former
He's the resident pastor of the MF Billy United Methodist Church and spokesperson of the United Methodist Church Liberia, Reverend Benjamin Bupelet. They are speaking. Very sorry for that poor quality of their assets. Today's development, the Liberia Council of Churches has ended a one-day dialogue in resolving the speakership crisis at the House of Representatives. The dialogue was organized by the LCC in collaboration with the other members of the religious community and stake actors. Following the clamors of the activities, LCC Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toole calls on members of the lower house to respect the rule of law.
Real Council of Churches with other stake actors in the religious community met at the Bolivar Palace Hotel in the second of the series of the Bishop Adolf Kula Justice Peace and Reconciliation Dialogue Forum with Honorable Richard and Coon, elected Speaker of the Majority Black of the House of Representatives. The meeting focused on the legislative crisis and seeking means by which the crisis can be resolved urgently. The meeting was attended by key church leaders, the Chief Imam of the Republic of Liberia, and other prominent citizens, as well as the celebrant of the dialogue forum. Following the meeting, the dialogue acknowledged the distinctive roles of the 3 branches of government with separate powers and remained concerned about legitimacy that the same government in consent has not endorsed and therefore creating confusion among the citizens as it relates to the legitimacy and authority of the speakership. The participants seek to continue the dialogue with one Jacob Fanati Kofa and Marisha and Kong of the House of Representatives over the leadership status as speaker.
He's the Secretary General of the Liberia Council of Churches, Reverend Christopher Toole, that's speaking.
Which continue to spread our confusion at the lower house.
With halfway past the news already, is a reminder that you're in tune to King's News Bureau, 45 minutes of the most compelling news for Liberia and other parts of the world. Today is Monday, March 3rd, 2025, and you have stories stopping the news this morning. Former President George Weah urges the Islamic Committee to use the holy moon for Ramadan to pray for national reconciliation and healing. United Methodist Church and the breakaway Global Methodist Church clashes intensified over property ownership, with several members and officials of the Global Methodist Church arrested but subsequently released by the Liberia National Police. Government of Liberia seeks intervention from diplomatic corps to find solutions to USA-sponsored project cancellation, as Ministry of Finance says the court presents a significant challenge for Liberia. In a way, from Liberia, the army of the Democratic Republic of Congo has accused Rwanda of dressing up prisoners in military uniforms in an effort to pass them off as newly captured rebels linked to the Rwandese genocide. We are taking another break to return with more development on the news program.
Explain the correlation of the
Thanks so much for rejoining us. The Dean of the Monrovia District Conference of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, Robert Gunnar, has called for significant reform in the Lutheran Church to reduce hardship being experienced by pastors of the church in rural Liberia. Delivering the sermon marking the end of the convention, the Dean of the Monrovia District Conference of the Lutheran Church in Liberia also expressed concern about the disappearance of computer containing the financial records of the church.
The things that God wants to do in our pastor behavior, they will not be out there. When our new bishop took over, he said, accountability to be the law. And accountability is one of the important things for our ministry. But other stuff went on. Convention, also some huge amounts not accounted for. So I was looking for the accountability aspect. Something happening in all the things that you mentioned. When we talk about computers that have computer organization, and yet nothing is being explained to us. Accountability. You begin with accountability. I told you it is not a mere phrase, it is a mindset. Are you not working in Bobalino? What is the person who's working in Grand Group? What is this? A page for a parent from those funds that we're raising.
He's the Dean of the Monrovia District Conference of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, Robert Gono, that's speaking. The Grand Mufti of Liberia has called for an establishment of an independent reconciliation council that will help mediate the national crisis Liberia might face. According to Sheikh Abubakar Soumaworo, such council will help resolve the unending crisis, including the impasse at the House of Representatives, among others.
We are asking you all to include in your prayer our national issues so that Almighty Allah can help us to unify the heart of our leaders and make peace be prevailed and justice be prevailed in Liberia. And we call you all to include your prayer for our caretakers in the legislature and the executive so that Allah can unify them, Allah can make them to understand one another. While we are saying so, we are calling on the lawmakers, particularly Lord House in the capital building, to come to themselves and reconcile their problems and understand that their discord and argument among themselves will make Liberia be subject to chaos and misunderstanding.
He's the Grand Mufti of Liberia, Sheikh Abubakar Sumaoro, they're speaking. The executive director of We Care Liberia Foundation has called on the Liberian government to increase its investment in education and empower young people with greater learning opportunities. Speaking at the Black History Month event at the We Care Foundation Library, Michael Weir emphasized that education serves as an essential equalizer for society and a critical pathway for Liberia to progress alongside other nations.
We at We Care Foundation will always celebrate the day to inform our people about Black achievement, Black inventions, Black in business, Black in world activities, and so forth. I just told you what we just discovered from reading how one of our presidents, John Smith, the shortest serving president of Liberia, he came to Liberia and then he was trained by a doctor from the ACS. He went back and got his degree, the second person to obtain a degree from an American institution in medicine, and then he came back to Liberia to be our first doctor. He went into politics to be past president, and then he served other areas, including being superintendent of Grand Bassa County. That's the information we want to pass out to students and to encourage them to study hard so that they too can contribute positively to their country and to the world as a whole. Every celebration, people get to know themselves better. People get to know about their history better, and people get to know about other world events. Last year, we had essay competition where people were asked to write on 3 topics. One of the topics that we had was, because we just celebrated our bicentenary, so we asked people to write what does the bicentenary celebration mean to them. So that was what the other people wrote on, and then there were a lot of ideas coming out about it, and people got to win prizes. They just tell us all our celebration, people coming back to others. Oh, we haven't known this, learn that this is how things are, how Black people are.
He's Michael Weir, the executive director of We Care Foundation, Liberia. The management of the National Transit Authority during the weekend celebrated its first anniversary since taking over the mantle of affairs at the NTA. Speaking during the celebration here at the NTA compounds along the Japan's freeway, NTA Managing Director Edmund Ford commissioned 3 newly acquired 65 seats buses for public transportation.
We built a new gate at the entrance of the compound, painted the entire fence, and completely eliminated the bushes and cleaned both in and out of the compound. We purchased 2 generators, a 20 kVA and a 100 kVA generator, renovate and air condition all offices. We provide running water to the entire compound, including restroom facility, and created additional office spaces and furnished them for employees' comfort. We paid $2,876,803 Liberian dollars to contractor salary arrears and kept salary payment current. We reintroduced the use of the banking system as a means of carrying on business transactions and put in place financial systems and procedures, including developing a financial and accounting policy manual. We developed a 5-year strategic plan document, a human resource manual, and employees handbook that will be distributed very soon. Department standard operating procedure and other administrative policy documents. We repair and put into operation 14 of the 29 broken down buses, purchase some specialized tools and equipment, purchase an operations pickup, and a technical motorbike. We purchased 3 brand new 62-seater Tata buses, some subsidy received from the government of Liberia, and registered and insured 13 of the buses on our routes.
He's the managing director of the National Transit Authority, Mr. Edmund Ford, speaking. Well, in that development, this is how we like to draw the curtains on this early morning edition of King's News Broom. But before we take a leave of you, here's stories we closely carried. Former President George Weah urges the Islamic community to use the holy month of Ramadan to pray for national reconciliation and healings. United Methodist Church and Breakaway Global Methodist Church clashes intensified over property ownership, with several members and officials of Global Methodist Church arrested but subsequently released by the Liberia National Police. Government of Liberia seeks intervention for diplomatic corps to find solution to USAID sponsor project cancellation, as Ministry of Finance says the court present a significant challenge for Liberia. In a way, for Liberia, the army of the Democratic Republic of Congo has accused Rwanda of dressing up prisoners in military uniforms in an effort to pass them off as newly captured rebels linked to the Rwandese genocides. Many thanks to all of our correspondents, reporters, and contributors who helped making the Element edition of King's News a success. On behalf of the entire news team here at Royal Multimedia Business Group Kings 88.5, my name is Otis Sanka, our presenter. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Good morning.